My name is Stig Asmussen. I'm game director on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, cool. I thought we'd start with some quick questions.
Okay.
So, favorite Star Wars movie?
New Hope.
Favorite character?
Luke.
Favorite setting?
Dagobah.
Dagobah. Favorite Force power?
Mind Trick.
Mind trick. Okay, who shot first?
Han.
Okay. So how did you take those favorite things and incorporate them into Fallen Order?
We didn't use any of those things. Well, I mean, I think that there's actually there's a reason for that, is that we didn't want the game to just rely on what's known, everything that's known about Star Wars, and we wanted to play with some stuff that's a little bit more fringe, so we could have a experience in a story that was ownable to us and a little bit fresher. We've seen a lot of the locations, like places like Tatooine and Hoth, and they've lived in a lot of different forms. Yeah. So it was important to us to tell something that's new, but make sure that the vibe and the spirit of the experience still felt like Star Wars. And I think that's what I think is so intriguing about Star Wars, is this awesome place to build incredible stories that we haven't even seen yet. Yeah. And I hope to see more of that, not just in our game, but in other places in the future. Yeah.
So could you define what Star Wars is for you when you say that you want to build a Star Wars setting?
But that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, it's this incredible playground of neat concepts and ideas that you can take to different places, and it's just a real tight lore that is ready-made for selling certain fantasies and for like games that's perfect.
Yeah. As a creator, is it easier to have like some confinements for your storytelling, or is it sometimes?
It's always good to have a box. Yeah. Or else you just find yourself talking about Fantasyland all the time. And there's definitely rules to Star Wars story creation, to Star Wars design, to what feels right in Star Wars. I understand those rules a lot better now than I did 3 or 4 years ago. I thought I knew it all, or I thought I knew something. Yeah. Turns out I didn't know anything. But now I know, I have a much better grasp on like what feels right for Star Wars, and I think that's the case for the whole team that I'm working with right now. That we've become students of Star Wars, and the decisions that we're making right now are much better and more informed than the ones that we were making when we first started. So we're able to do things faster, and working with Lucasfilm, the things we've earned a lot of like their trust and their respect, and yeah, everything is just unlocking a lot easier for us now. Yeah. But it is good having a box, even though Star Wars is a massive, massive box.
And you put the story in a specific place. Was it any time in the development that you thought about doing it like much earlier to have more freedom, or?
We discussed different time periods, but then really drilling into the type of game that we're making and like the gameplay experience that we wanted to have, where it's not as defined of what a Jedi should be like during this time period, because the whole Jedi Order isn't what it once was. They're not like kind of like these peacekeepers, because they're not even around anymore, and they're looked upon as outcasts and traitors. So having a game where you're fighting a lot and you're fighting back with extreme prejudice because you're being hunted, that's kind of what we needed from the game, and these are the dark times. This is if you want to have a game that's going to play like that, this is the right time to do it.
Yeah. Talking about fighting, I mean, you have a background in God of War, of course.
Yeah.
What things did you learn during that period of your career that you put into Jedi Fallen Order?
I mean, there's some basic rules to In combat specifically, there's basic rules to combat that we defined over the years with Kratos that worked for this game, but Kratos does things very differently because he's fueled by rage, and some of the stuff that we did in the past on God of War didn't really work. So to a certain degree, we've had to kind of reimagine how we do fighting.
So did you start like having like more God of War style combat in Fallen Order, and then it evolved, or?
No, when we started, we weren't even working on Star Wars. We were working on a different melee-based game. A lot of that ended up going into Star Wars, but I was working with some of the guys that I had worked with on God of War before, and we decided that we wanted to do something very different than God of War, and we were very intrigued by the Soul series and Bloodborne, and we wanted to make something that had a little bit more, made the player like God of War. People can go in and they can mash the buttons and they can have a really good time, but there's also an expert level to it as well. We wanted this to not be a button masher, so that was the first thing. We just wanted to try that, to do something new. Like I said, that it eventually evolved into the game that we have right now.
Yeah. Do you have an example for how do you make that kind of combat interesting? Is it the parrying, or is it?
We have a parry system. The parry system is used to. Okay, so one of the things that we learned really early is that when a lightsaber is not a baseball bat, it's not a sword. If you hit an enemy once with a lightsaber, they should probably die.
Yeah.
We had fights at one point, and this is just going off of our experience from God of War. It's like, well, this guy's more kind of like a grunt-like unit. You're gonna have to hit him 3 times for it to feel right for the kill. It never felt right fighting a stormtrooper and hitting it 3 times. So that made us have to kind of reassess how we were doing things. So that's when we came into having the enemies have more of a defensive posture, so that they're blocking more. So if the electrostaff that the grunts or the scout troopers are carrying, you have to figure out a way to get through that. So that's where the parry system comes in.
Yeah.
We also have a posture block break system where if you whack it into the enemy's defenses enough, that'll open them up for a one-hit kill. Parry is the fastest way to get a one-hit kill, though, and that's having a certain window that you parry and then you can counter. And you probably saw some.
Yeah,
did you get
reddish.
to see the demo?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the enemies turn reddish, right?
Those are unblockables.
Okay.
So when the enemy turns red, you get out of the way.
Oh.
It's more about, you mentioned parries. We've got several different special saber attacks. We have light attack, we have heavy attacks, we have force push, force pull, force slow, amongst other force powers that we're going to have in the game that we'll reveal at a different time. But each enemy type has a different reaction to the force, and some of them react more than others. It does more damage, or it has more influence on them. For example, if you force pull a stormtrooper, you can pull them right to you pretty effortlessly. If you try to do that with one of those black armored purge troopers, they'll actually dig into the ground. And if you keep on trying, they'll fly towards you and they'll knock you on the ground. So you'll learn that you don't want to do a full force pull, but if you do a light force pull to them, it'll pull them over and open them up for an attack, so you can take them down. So there's a lot of nuance, and there's a lot of different ways that if you combine the force abilities and the lightsaber abilities, and as you upgrade, you'll get more of them, that you'll figure out many different ways of manipulating the enemy arrangement that you've walked into.
Yeah. You showed like a slight tease about the skill tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will you be able to build your character more to a certain style of your own, or is it more just getting the basic stuff more powerful?
This must be a Swedish question.
Really? Why?
I was asked this by another Swede.
Yeah.
We have a skill tree that is dictated by skill points that you find throughout the game, and most likely by the time you get, if you're a completionist, and I'm a completionist, by the time we get to the end of the game, we've unlocked everything in the skill tree. you might have chosen to unlock certain things in a different way earlier than I did, but because there's a certain style that you like better. But at the end of the day, there's not like you can basically take your hero and go on a completely different alignment one way or the other.
He feels quite powerful right at the beginning, because he's like level 4 or something in the demo.
This is 3 or 4 hours into the game, so he's, I mean, I don't know what level 4 is, but he's pretty powerful at this point. Like, I mean, I would say fairly. He's got a good suite of abilities. I think we've probably unlocked a couple of them just for this demonstration that won't be available at this point in the game.
Okay. Yeah. Could you talk any more about the settings we're going to see in the rest of the game?
No, I don't want to talk about unveil any new settings right now. We'll be doing that at a later date. But what I will say is that we've got a couple more, or other familiar places, kind of like Kashyyyk. Is a place that people know is the planet of the Wookiees, and we have several new planets that we're creating that are going to become part of Star Wars lore. Yeah.
Excellent. I think they want me to quit now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.